Hello and welcome to This Week in Laker Football. I'm Tyler Kieft, joined as always, as we are, by head coach Ron Bellamy of the West Bloomfield Lakers Varsity football team. Coach Bellamy, heading into playoff time, it's a different time of the year, it's a big transition. What are some of the differences from the coach's angle and even from a player's angle with your experience between regular season football at the high school level and playoff football?
Yes, that's an easy one. That's an easy question for me to answer. It's one thing you've done, survive in advance. As a coach, you look at what happened throughout the course of the regular season and you try to correct the mistakes or any deficiencies that's on your team. You try to strengthen those deficiencies, and such is the case for us, as we head into round one of the playoffs.
So you go up against the two-time defending Division II champions in Warren De La Salle in the final week of the regular season. Mm-hmm. Was that experience good for your team to go up against a championship level team that's been there and done that over the last 2 years to cap off the season as you head into playoff time? Oh,
absolutely. So one of those deals where you play a formidable opponent and we play them on the road. I think that's very important. For us to reach some of our goals, we say we want to play at Ford Field. At some point, we're going to be on the road, whether it's a neutral site or whether we're on the road at our opponent's site. So, for us to win a tough game against a tough opponent on the road, that was spectacular.
Yeah, a little bit of a shaky start for both teams, both offensively and defensively. A couple of turnovers, some fumbles from West Bloomfield. Those early struggles, how did your team work to overcome those early struggles to have more or less a really formidable game against Warren De La Salle?
We played great defense.
Yeah.
We played great defense, and offensively, we don't have to do too much. We had 2 turnovers. Defense bailed us out. And we know that we have playmakers on our own end. I thought our offensive line, from an offensive standpoint, played spectacular. And Donovan and Dillon did a great job running the football, and the receivers did a great job blocking. And, our goal in that game against De La Salle was to control the line of scrimmage on both sides, offense and defense. We wanted to win a time of possession, which we did. And ultimately, we wanted to win the ball game, which we did. And we wanted to stop the run. And we did all those things.
Yeah, and offensively, the running game for West Bloomfield was fantastic. And you mentioned the offensive line. I mean, there were a couple times where we went in the breaks during the football game broadcasts on 89.3 Lakes FM, and Dave and I were turning to each other and being like, this offensive line, they're opening up massive holes for Donovan, which is just fantastic to do for him with his abilities, and even for Dillon Tatum and other guys in the backfield. And for those who may not be familiar or may not have that great of an appreciation for offensive linemen, how huge of an impact can they have on an offense?
Huge. I mean, everything goes through those guys. Yeah. You're as good as your offensive line. Those guys do a great job in pass protection, and they do a great job in run protection. So our offensive line is something, I'm most proud that those guys have gotten better and better each and every week. And, they grind. Coach Garrett and Coach Max, they push those guys. They push them every day, and it's from climbing the hills to, doing various, conditioning things, pushing the sled around. And, by far, it's the toughest group on our team mentally and physically. And, we're going to need those guys to reach the places we want to go.
Yeah, and they're playing great football. They're setting up the running game excellently. They're giving CJ tons of time.
Absolutely.
And that's been a huge impact on the offense in the latter half of the season. From a defensive standpoint, you're going up against a team in Warren De La Salle last week that loves to run the football to facilitate the pass. Shutting down that running game, how big of an impact did that have on your ability to hold this team to just 8 points?
Well, we wanted to, switch the, we're known as a finesse spread team and known as a team that, strikes quickly. We wanted to change the narrative in that game against De La Salle last week, and the goal for us was to win the line of scrimmage on defense. Our defensive line had outplayed the offensive line, and we did. Our guys, our D linemen and our linebackers were in that backfield the entire night. De La Salle had 80 yards of total offense against us, which is pretty exceptional for our defense. We forced 3 turnovers, and we did some great things. Those guys, Coach Grice, he does a phenomenal job with his game plans, and he drew up a masterpiece on Friday night, and the kids executed it. And it was fun to watch our defense get after a really tough opponent.
Yeah, it seemed like almost every play was Michael Williams and Cornell Wheeler in the backfield supporting each other on a sack, or it was Bo Davis and Jordan Williams getting into the backfield with one another and in a tandem to get at the quarterback or the running back. And then the secondary, other than a couple of plays where they got out in front of you, had a really good game themselves too. Is this defense elite?
I think it's time to call this defense elite. They do some elite things. We're coming on. We played well the first few games. The one game, the Lake Orion game, which they've given everyone problems. But offensively for us, we had to put up some points and do some special things. But outside of that, our defense has been neutralizing some really explosive offenses, and hopefully we continue to play at a high level throughout the playoffs. The one thing I believe is defense travel. You want to win a state championship, you got to have an elite defense, and you got to take care of the football. And right now, we're striving for that.
And the defense is definitely playing fantastic football. It's the strong suit of this team, without a doubt. Coach Ron Bellamy, we'll be back with him in just a few. After the break, I will speak to West Bloomfield's Dillon Tatum, safety, running back, special teams player extraordinaire. That coming up in just a moment here on This Week in Laker Football, presented in part by our friends at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, celebrating 10 years of serving our community. Back shortly on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com.
You want it, you got it. Civic Center TV has been bringing you live coverage of your local municipal meetings for years. Now you can catch a replay of those meetings the following day at 1 o'clock and again on Saturdays and Sundays at 9 a.m. If that's not enough, you can also visit civiccentertv.com/meetings to view a whole list of on-demand Township Board meetings and keep up to date on the most recent developments in your local government. Giving you more, it's Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Welcome back to This Week in Laker Football. I'm Tyler Kieft in the West Bloomfield High School weight room with one of the powerhouses of all three phases of this West Bloomfield Lakers team. We have Dillon Tatum, safety, defensive back, running back, kick returner. You do a little bit of everything on this team. Was that something that developed over time? You're sort of being a utility player across the board for this team, or did you initially come in with a primary position?
Well, I initially came in as a running back, and my thought was I want to be on the field as much as possible, get as much as I can do, as much as I can do for the team, for us to win and get this state championship. So
it's your second year on the varsity team. Your first year was a little bit of a trial by fire. You come in after, of course, the injury to Donovan Edwards. You join the team, and you're immediately in the action and performing at a high level as a freshman player. Take us through a little bit of any of the challenges or how it felt to come in as a freshman on the varsity team and immediately make an impact.
Well, it was pretty difficult at first. I just knew, I just got to do what I can do best and do what I'm told and just keep performing like how Dillon Tatum performs.
So you're coming in, you are in a way, a duo in the backfield at that time with Anthony May, with the other running backs on the team down the depth chart with you. As a freshman coming in, and you're new to the team still, but you are making those adjustments, and you're focusing on hitting your assignments from a studying standpoint. Was it an adjustment to learn the system of the varsity team?
Oh yes, of course. On JV, I knew I was faster than a bunch of guys, and when I moved up to varsity, I knew I'm going to have to change some things and started running, always going outside and up the field. I would have to go straight up the field and get as many yards as possible because I'm not going to be able to outrun everybody, and everyone's bigger and stronger that time on varsity.
Yeah, you come in as a freshman, you're immediately an impact player in the absence of Donovan Edwards, and in addition to the rest of your very prolific teammates, and having that depth on the team definitely played a factor last year, and it's continued to play a factor this year, but in a little bit of a different way. You're playing in all three phases of the game. Are there any challenges to that, playing both offense and defense, and then also coming in on special teams?
Yeah, it's always going to be a challenge, learning the offense and the defense at the same time, making sure I get in all the conditioning I can get while I'm doing that, while I'm learning everything. And special teams is like, I got to do your job, I got to do my job, and everyone else has to do my job around me, and we'll all be fine.
So last week against Warren De La Salle, you had a huge game against them. Again, in all three phases, an interception, you had a touchdown on offense, and as always, you're making an impact on special teams. For you, take us a little bit through your feelings having such a great game and a huge impact on the team against a very tough opponent in De La Salle.
Well, how I just thought about it, I thought about like I'm gonna do everything to help us win, and for me to perform at that high of a level, I'm just proud of myself, and I'm very thankful about it. And to get that interception at the end of the game was a redemption from giving up that touchdown at the beginning of the game. It was just like a blessing, you know. Yep.
From a player standpoint, of course, we're now heading into playoff time.
Right.
West Bloomfield, one of the highest gaining playoff point teams in Division I. From a player standpoint, is there any difference in preparation on your guys' end for the playoffs versus the regular season now that you've experienced that transition twice?
Yeah, it's going to be similar to last year. It's going to be a lot colder, so a lot of guys are going to want to go inside and complain and stuff, but you know, everyone is just got to do their part in practice, got to work hard. It's going to be longer practices than the shorter practices we had, and you just got to get better and better every week to win the state championship.
So let's take a look back on your football journey to this point. When did you start playing football?
I started playing football when I was 6 years old with the NFWB Vikings in Farmington.
Okay, so have you known some of your teammates from West Bloomfield as you've been developing through the football system?
Yeah, it was. It's a few guys here that play for the Vikings, like Cole Hall. It was who else? It's a lot of guys on JV team like DJ Herring, Bertrell Rankin. Well, Bertrell Rankin's on varsity. With Corey Garrison, we all play for the Vikings. Came up here and tried to do our thing here, and somehow it's working out.
It's kind of been a common theme with a lot of people that we've talked to from this team, having grown up with a lot of their teammates and developed from a young age into varsity football at the high school level with their teammates. It's kind of been a common theme. Does that help make these adjustments week to week against increasingly tougher opponents to have that chemistry with your teammates?
Yeah, that chemistry just always carries on to the higher level that you go. That means helps you trust the other person behind you or on the side of you to do the things, do their job. So when you do your job, it doesn't affect the team. Bringing those guys just brings a good friendship, right? And just great relationships going throughout high school. So,
still only a sophomore.
Yes.
It's just your second year in high school, your second year on this varsity team. There's tons of time going forward for you to continue to develop and advance, possibly even to the next level. What are some of your football aspirations?
Well, being a football player, I just want to be the best I can be, stay as healthy as possible throughout all of my achievements in a career. And just doing all I can to help the team win is all about the team.
Here with Dillon Tatum from the West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football team on This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM. So Dillon, any guys at the next level, college, professional even, some of the legends of the game, who are some of the guys that you look up to?
Well, I look up to Tavon Austin. That was one of my guys that I saw was one of the most exciting players in college football. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he came from the Vikings. My dad coached him. I look up to him at the receiver position. And at the running back position, I kind of look up to Barry Sanders. Quick, shifty guy, always getting all those yards and everything, fighting for every yard that he can get. And DB position, I look up at Jalen Ramsey. Very tough, he can hit hard, he can cover anybody he wants. He has a great level of confidence. It's just all fun out there for those guys.
Dillon Tatum developing into one of the impact players for this West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football team this year and going forward. But throughout your Lakers career, you've had an experience over the last two seasons we're working with a lot of guys that are high caliber players on top of the high caliber player that you are. What are some of the things that you've picked up from these players or that you've learned from playing with these high caliber players that are now some playing at the next level and some that are going to be playing at the next level?
Well, from Trey Mosley, I took from him was his leadership. He always had great leadership. From when I was a freshman on the varsity team, like, I didn't have the best confidence. When he would always pick me up. From Lance Dixon, he just showed his toughness to everybody and show his confidence that he can do the right thing, and that would always be in that position to be great. Cornell, great guy, always picking me up when I need something, or same thing with Makari, just always making me smile.
So for other freshmen and sophomores currently on the team, coming up on the team from JV throughout the playoffs and into next year, similar to the guys that have impacted you in your West Bloomfield career so far, how do you want to impact the next guys coming up?
I just want to be a great leader, a great guy to give good examples to everyone that is coming up behind me, and just always doing my job to where they're always doing their job and being making the team successful.
Yeah, Dillon Tatum's got a lot of jobs to do on this team. He's playing in all three phases. Been playing excellent football all season long. Had a fantastic week against Warren De La Salle last week Friday, and we're sure he's going to continue to have a big impact on this team throughout this year's playoffs. Dillon Tatum from the West Bloomfield Lakers Varsity football team will be back with Coach Bellamy in just a few. You are watching and listening to This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com.
Laker football is live every Friday this fall on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and 89.3 Lakes FM. Tune in before every game kicks off at 7 p.m. for live analysis from Dave Scott and Tyler Kieft, and then another great Laker football matchup. You can listen on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and of course on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM and on the web on lakesfm.com. This hour of programming is brought to you in part by Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. 10 years ago, Henry Ford Health System celebrated the grand opening of its West Bloomfield Hospital. Since then, they've celebrated innovative new technologies, medical breakthroughs, and unique approaches to health and healing. To learn more about Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital, visit henryford.com/West Bloomfield 10. Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital is a proud sponsor of Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Welcome back to This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com. I'm Tyler Kieft, joined again by Coach Ron Bellamy of the West Bloomfield Lakers. So we're heading into playoff time now. First round coming up this Friday against Canton. As we've done in several of these episodes, give us a little bit of a preview. What do we need to know about this Canton team?
Yeah, this Canton team, Coach Beckler, their longtime coach, retired 3 or 4 years ago, and they've kept the same offense intact, same offense, same defense. If you know anything, about offenses and old school football, that's what they are. They get in the T formation, and they want a lot of misdirection. One of those things, offense that can give you problems if you don't play assignment football. It's almost like playing one of the service academies. You got to read your keys, you got to be disciplined, have eye integrity. You can't just be, as a defensive back, you can't just, go after the tailbacks because these tight ends release their tight ends and they can cause havoc. So it's one of those things, preparation-wise for us, we have to be on our P's and Q's, and we have to do a great job as coaches making sure the kids understand exactly what we're asking them to do. And defensively, they're a man coverage team. They're going to blitz you, they're going to send some pressure, get into an odd front, get into a three-man front, and give you some different looks. So, we have to make smart decisions. We have to get on the board and draw up how we're going to attack this odd front and try to get after these guys. But it's going to be a great game, and I'm excited to play an opponent that, we rarely get a chance to see, play teams in that division.
So we talked about this in the first segment. The playoffs are a completely different animal. It's win or go home.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, you're going up against another 5-win team, but it's a tough team. It's a playoff caliber team, and you don't have the luxury of, if you make mistakes in this game, you have a week to develop into the next game. Right. So what are some of the focuses from a preparation standpoint, going up against opponent to opponent, to make sure that you really hone in on what you have to get done for that game?
I think as a coaching staff, when we have our staff meetings, the one thing I'm constantly on my coaches, talking about is, if there's any weaknesses, any flaws, any developmental issues that we see, we're attacking those every day. We're going back in, we're going to continue to refine our strengths, and we're going to take our weaknesses and we're going to really tone those things up. And, playoffs, what makes the teams in the playoffs really good teams is they find your weaknesses. And, we want to hide our weaknesses. We don't want you to expose them. And, the best thing for us to do is to strengthen those weaknesses. So, we go back to the drawing board and we make sure we do that. And, you still got to take care of you. You play your opponent, you scout, you prep for your opponent, but you need to prep for yourself as well.
So we talked in the previous segment also about having a tough road game in a tough environment to finish off the regular season. Going into the playoffs with their placement in the MHSAA bracket, there's a potential for at least 2 home playoff games, possibly 3 if the cards fall right. How big of an impact does home football have in playoffs?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I tell you firsthand, you got the swamp will be packed and everyone's going to be there to watch you, and you got the support there, and just being familiar with things. You don't have to worry about getting on the bus and traffic and those things. The kids can take their time eating their pregame meals, and the preparation of getting taped, and you're not rushing, and everything is on the court for us. So it's just one of those things where you want to play home just with the familiarity of everything. Is just being familiar with everything and being able to go on the field and just play ball. So
still some guys on this team that have been to the state championship game a couple of years ago, that went far in the playoffs last year, and just came up a little bit short against Belleville. Have you guys been itching for this time?
Yeah, I mean, in the wintertime when you start lifting weights, and in the summertime, you're lifting and you're conditioning, is for this moment. Last night we did. We're together watching the selection show, and it never gets old as a coach. This is our 6th year in a row making the postseason, and it's a new group. And watching their reaction to it, they knew they were going to make it. It's just something about seeing your name and seeing the opponent that you're playing. And for these seniors, we talk about making sure that you guys play as many games at home as possible, because when that time is up, you're no longer going to be able to play Lakers Stadium in the swamp. And it means a lot to them. So, but just watching the joy that the kids have, playing in the postseason, they know what the expectations are, and you take it 1 week at a time. There is an end goal for us, but if you don't take care of the current, there is no end goal.
So my final question for you: is this a championship team?
Without question. Without question. In order to win a championship, some things have to line for you. Some of the stars have to line for you. And one of the biggest things is you got to stay healthy. Staying healthy and, getting a favorable draw and just playing well. Our state runner-up team, we had some luck in our favor. And the team that beat us in the championship had some luck in their favor. So it's a long road. You still got a month, to reach that mountaintop. There's still 5 weeks to go. But we're going to take it 1 week at a time and see where the chips fall.
All right, thank you, Coach Bellamy. The Lakers open up their playoff schedule this Friday at home at the Swamp against Canton. We'll be there. It'll be live on 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com. And as we hope, next week we'll join you right back here for This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV, WBTV, and on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com. Thank you.